strength, and the benefit of good guidance to perform our duties honestly, wisely, fearlessly, and well for the good of those we seek to serve. Can please be seated. I call the June 29th, 2015 City of Duncan's Junior Council meeting to order. Are there any late items?
No, Your Worship.
Awesome. Can I have someone move to adopt the agenda? Can I get a seconder?
I second that.
Okay. Any discussion? No? Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Agenda adopted. Adoption of the minutes. Can I get someone to adopt our last year's minutes? Just what's under 4.1 there?
I adopt that the May 26, 2014 Junior Council minutes be adopted as circulated.
Seconder?
I second.
And can I, all in favor? Any opposed? Minutes are adopted. Can I have somebody move to adopt our minutes from our committee of the whole meeting?
I move that the June 8th, 2014 Junior Committee of the Whole minutes be adopted as circulated.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carried. All of our minutes are adopted. All right, so let's go on down to reports of committees. Under 5.1, we've got item 5.1.1, youth gathering spaces in the community. So with this, we have to move to adopt that. Can I get someone move to adopt that? Yeah.
I move that the Duncan Junior Council forward the following resolution to the City Council for information. Do I continue?
Mm-hmm.
And that the topic of creating a youth gathering space in the community be referred to Safe Youth Couch in order to identify specific areas within the City of Duncan so that those areas can be brought to the attention of council at a future council meeting.
Seconder?
I second that.
Perfect. So to discuss, I'll just say, so with the youth gathering spaces in the community, our goal is to see the creation of one or more safe public gathering spaces for youth specifically, kind of teen-oriented. Many have identified a lack of safe places to hang out that are free of barriers, such as a cost of entry, or social stigma, or perceived ownership by different social groups. Often what is requested is as simple as a place to sit with just coverage from the weather, maybe waste receptacles to cut down on litter. And providing these low-cost types of spaces serves as a preventative measure against negative activities and social behaviors we find. Often there's just such a symptom of something that's needed, such as a place to socially engage respectfully and safely. Our plan involves fostering a sense of ownership by having youth create these spaces themselves or be involved in some way. We discussed some kind of event. Did you want to speak to that?
Yeah. I had an idea for, I think, incorporating some sort of sports event for the community or for teens or anyone really around the community to come together and have a fun day or two of sports. And I think that would be a really good way for to bring people together and to create more friendships or just get people talking with each other and having fun day of sports.
That's awesome. Did anyone else want to add anything?
We brought it up at our last Environment Committee meeting last week. Yeah, we brought it up on working on something around that, possibly at McAdam.
Cool. Yeah, so we still have to kind of figure out where it would be, and that's gonna be discussed through council, and we'll work out the details. Any further discussion? Okay, perfect. I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, so 5.1.2 is connecting sidewalks between jurisdictions. Can I have someone move to adopt this?
I move to adopt that the Duncan Junior Council forward the following resolution for City Council consideration. That the Duncan Junior Council requests the city's support in having a member of the Duncan Junior Council represented on the Regional Transportation Steering Committee.
Seconder?
I second that.
Any discussion? I can give a brief summary. So working with community safety group Safe Youth Couch, and we found there are many areas in the community where infrastructure such as sidewalks, sometimes bike lanes, ends abruptly. This kind of results in an unsafe situation where you're suddenly walking on the shoulder of the road competing for space with traffic. We understand that sometimes these lacks of connectivity are due to changes in jurisdiction. You move from one municipality to another, or sometimes specific projects will have funding or boundaries limitations. And we feel the best way to counter these unsafe areas is to have them identified specifically and solutions worked out with representation from groups that use pedestrian routes most often, including young people. And so we were hoping some representation or a report to the Transportation Committee would hopefully identify and solve some of these areas. Did anyone have anything to add?
Only that I can just speak to this as being a true and a positive move, because I ride my bike literally everywhere, and probably will do so for at least another 5 years. And it's definitely true that there's like weirdly spaces in this town where it's highly accommodating to pedestrians and cyclists, and then other parts of town that are just like, I have people who come up to me who are like, how do you ride your bike in town? Like, aren't you scared? Aren't you gonna die? Aren't you scared of dying? Like, a few people have told me that, and it's like, well, this is how I have to get around. This is my car. So I just, definitely would be a positive thing.
I feel that'd be a great idea to have someone on the Transportation Committee, just so that they do know where youth struggle with getting around and be like, well, we can't go here because there's no way to get there without sidewalks, or we'd be on the side of the road, and they may not know that without a youth's opinion.
And there's so many more people riding their bikes
Yeah,
everywhere,
exactly.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
it's
all
just-
ages.
It's something that I think should be encouraged, instead of people always acting like the people on the bikes are like not supposed to be there and don't have a place,
Definitely. Cool. Anything else to add? Perfect. So all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. So next we have item 5.1.3, our food forest strategy. Can I have someone move this resolution?
I move that the Duncan Junior Council forward the following resolution to the City of Council for information, that the topic of creating a food forest strategy to be referred back to Safe Youth Couchin to develop a presentation on a concept of the food forest strategy to be presented to the City of Duncan September 24th, 2015 Environment Committee meeting for consideration.
Seconder?
I second that.
Perfect. So this is from our last meeting's agenda. Our last year we had kind of started tossing this idea around. And this was actually Junior Councillor Kanowitz's idea. Did you want to kind of speak to the food forest strategy?
So the food forest strategy is a strategy to put in place where instead of planting smaller trees around the city, you could plant things like apple trees and other fruit trees to grow fruit instead of just having a pretty tree there. And that would help with local food growth, and just think it'd be a really cool idea to see that happen.
Perfect. Oh, if I can interrupt, I was supposed to mention Junior Councillor Nikolai Lamson is joining us now. He was at a presentation on water conservation, so that's obviously super important. Also absent was we were going to have Shui, our international student, was going to be joining us. However, he has returned home, so he could not be here. We understand at this time of year it's hard for people to make it, but now we're pretty much all here. So thank you. Okay, where were we? The food forest strategy. So yeah, that's obviously really important for food security, getting people's attention on that issue. And yeah, we're going to refer that to the Environment Committee.
We did discuss it a little bit at the last Environment Committee meeting as well. I brought it up.
Perfect. Did anyone else have anything to discuss on that? Perfect. So all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, so moving on, item 5.1.4, we have Regional Transportation Committee. Can I have someone move this resolution?
I move that the Duncan Junior Council forward the following resolution to City Council for information, that the topic of compost bins and
Sorry, we're one up, 514.
No.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I should be paying more attention now. Okay. This one, yeah. Transportation. That the Duncan Junior Council forward the following resolution to City Council for consideration, that Duncan Junior Council requests the city's support in having a member of Duncan Junior Council represented on the Cowichan Valley Regional Transit Committee. Oh, I know. I missed that. I skipped it over because it looked exactly
No,
the
that's
same
okay.
as the one above it.
Seconder?
Second.
And Any discussion? I'll give maybe an introduction. So a lack of safe, effective public transit is one of the biggest barriers identified by youth in going about their lives. Last year, we discussed the condition of several bus stops. Many are lacking basic facilities such as shelter, lighting, even signage. Also, another problem identified by young people is routes that don't operate at critical times for them to get to school and work. We would really love to see the opportunity for young people to be represented at the table when it comes to decision making around local transit. Did anyone have anything else to add?
I feel like that would be a great idea. I mean, I'd like to be able to take the bus more, but for where I live, the times just don't work out. It's either too big of a gap between times, too early, too late. They just don't work. And being on a committee, like an extra committee myself, it does give that extra youth voice on bringing these things to the table that some adults may not think of.
Yeah, for sure. We find that representation is key, and especially coming from people that are using the infrastructure, that are using the facilities, it's good to come right from that, as opposed to people who might be making those decisions. They probably have never taken the bus. Did anyone have anything else to add?
I find that it would also be helpful for at least getting it out there more if like bus routes change. At least for finding ways of letting more people know. It may just be me. I may not know where to look for if bus routes change, but that did happen to me. Where the bus route changed, and I had to chase after it. So,
So
yeah.
public information education is like really huge when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. Any further discussion on the Regional Transit Committee? All right, perfect. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, moving on. Item 5.1.5, compost bins and education.
I move that the Duncan Junior Council forward the following resolution to the City of Duncan Council for information that the topic of compost bins and education be referred to Safe Youth Cowichan in order to create an education awareness campaign to be rolled out in conjunction with the installation of new compost bins in the city square.
Seconder?
I second that.
Perfect. Any discussion?
I think we need these.
Definitely. So
Now.
last year we had been hopeful about compost bins being included alongside the current garbage and refundables bins that already exist in downtown. We were thinking about key areas in the downtown core, starting with one and then branching out. We knew that to avoid contamination, that's always a big concern. Education would be really pivotal in ensuring correct usage of these facilities. So I know we'd had a couple ideas around how to get that education happening and making it a little more interactive. Did anyone want to speak to that?
I think we discussed having like a big event here, like in City Square or something.
Yeah.
And just like, yeah, I guess having different activities for people to do around education, to do with composting and garbage and stuff.
Yeah, we had discussed putting together some type of an event that would be interactive that could help educate the community, youth as well as adults. I know because some can be difficult for a lot of people just regarding composting. And I know that it's not on here, though we had kind of added it last time, but composting and recycling as part of that.
So it'd be
As
garbage,
making
compost,
the
and recycling.
distinction between the two, and the recycling bit, just because there's so many different forms of it and so many different kinds, and it all gets sorted differently. And I think that would be pretty cool. I was just at a mall yesterday, and they had 4 different bins. So if a public mall can try and have 4 different bins, why can't we try and have a few in our city square, right?
Yeah, and I think
Absolutely.
the education piece is definitely key. Like I find with a lot of this stuff, it's really important to make sure that it's memorable. I mean, you can put them there and people are going to put whatever they want in them. But definitely if we do try to include some kind of an event, some kind of game, something to make sure that people really know how they're supposed to be used, make it really clear, and then we cut down on that contamination that is kind of the biggest problem when you start getting into things like this.
Yeah.
Anyone want to add anything else? Perfect. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, so item 5.1.6, youth membership on committees within the Cowichan Valley. Can I get a mover for that?
That the Duncan Junior Council forward the following resolution to the City Council for consideration. That the Duncan Junior Council deliver a presentation to all of the local governments within the Cowichan Valley about the benefits of having a youth representative on committees and to encourage them to consider designing a specific youth at-large member.
Seconder?
I second that.
Perfect. So having this council has really been a great opportunity for us to not only use our own voices, but to represent the views of all the other youth in the community. And we've learned that working within local government is really an incredible way to facilitate change and progress. Having youth representation on local government committees is a great way to ensure a more diverse perspective is considered also in decision making. And I know we actually have somebody here who is on our environment committee for the city of Duncan. Did you want to kind of speak about your experiences with that?
For sure. So yeah, I'm on the environment committee with the city of Duncan. I feel like it's been really great being on the committee, and that I bring a youth voice to it, and that I bring up things that they may not quite think about when making decisions. So I might be like, well, there's that, but then like this is how youth perspective would be on that, and it might make them think a little bit. And I find it's really great to have that voice there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a different perspective. And I think, too, like there are certain committees that would benefit more from it, or certain ones where they would say, you know, we definitely have that need. And so, yeah, I think presenting to local government, and hopefully some of them would want to adopt that. Did anyone want to add anything else about that? All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. So, item 5.1.7, Junior Council Sessions at AVICC. Can I get someone to move that?
I move that the Duncan Junior Council forward the following resolution to the City of Duncan for consideration, that the Duncan Junior Council provide a letter of concept regarding the training session and potential session at the AVICC.
Seconder?
Second.
All right, so any discussion? Should I maybe discuss what the AVICC is? I feel like some people here know and some don't. So it's the Association of Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities, kind of representing local government on the island and nearby. And the Junior Council is really looking forward to participating in their convention next year alongside two other junior councils, youth councils from the island. We would get together and kind of discuss the similarities and differences in the way that our councils are formed and how we operate, and talk about our successes and difficulties. Then we would get to lead a workshop on implementing, forming successful youth councils, and we would get to actually give that to all the local government members that are at the convention. So I know we're really looking forward to that. Does anyone want to kind of discuss that? Where are the other councils? I don't even remember. Powell River? Oh, we have to write a concept letter. Sorry, that's actually the motion here. We have to provide a letter of concept regarding that training session and plenary session. So I guess we're in the midst of working that out right now, aren't we? So once we write that letter, and then we get back to the AVICC, and then they will get back to us and let us know whether that can work out. But it's looking really positive, so. Perfect. Cool. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, item 5.1.8, Shadow Mayor and Council. Can I get a mover for that?
That the Duncan Junior Council forward the following resolution to the City Council for consideration. That the Duncan Junior Council requests that Council consider inviting the Duncan Junior Council to a future committee of the whole meeting to Shadow Mayor and Council.
Seconder?
I second that.
Any discussion? So we thought it would just be a good idea, a good opportunity for us to kind of observe council operations, to be more kind of closely involved with the council. I guess we still have to work out, we're going to figure out when we want to attend, but yeah, we'll come to a committee of the whole meeting and get to sit in.
You can get more involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, any other comments on that?
I think it's really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously haven't formed the idea that much, but I think it's definitely a very exciting, interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing is already exciting, but just the idea of getting to work or stand beside someone who's doing what we're doing, but for realsies would be cool.
Totally.
For realsies.
Any other comments?
I just wanted to say, for me, it's really cool to discover that I have a voice or power or a say in stuff in the community. So.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, perfect. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, so next, item 5.1.9, Junior Council Recruitment. Would someone move this one?
I move that the Duncan Junior Council forward the following resolution to City Council for consideration. That the following Junior Council schedule be adhered to from this point forward, excluding general local election years. So recruitment for the Duncan Junior Council program, September. Junior Council election in November. Junior Council orientation in January. Junior Committee of the Whole meeting in February. And Junior Council meeting in March.
Seconder?
I second that.
Perfect. Any discussion? I guess what we found here is that this is kind of a really busy time for people. I know that we've got a lot of people in school doing exams. I know we had at least one member graduate this year, which is super exciting, and you still managed to get here and do all of this stuff, which is incredible. So we decided we would make it a little bit easier on everybody by shifting it a little bit in the year so that we can do this a little bit differently and hopefully get a little bit more ease of participation for everybody. Yeah, so I think this schedule looks really good. Does anyone else have any other comments?
I definitely think it works better than this schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah. It
It's
just
hard.
looks better.
yeah. June is crazy.
Just looks easier.
Or May, June is
to
crazy
make,
with exams and the end of school for sure, and vacations and such.
Mhm.
Exactly, it just fits with the school schedule as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, it does line up with the school year a lot better, hey?
And I think too, it's definitely a little bit like socially, people will be really raring to go on new projects and signing up for things in September. They'll kind of have that on their minds, whereas towards the end of the year, they're just kind of excited to be done. So,
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, so next we have item 5.1.10, texting and driving campaign. Can I get someone to move that?
That the Duncan Junior Council forward the following resolution to the City Council for consideration. That the Duncan Junior Council collaborate with Cowichan Community Policing in order to help get the message out to youth about the dangers of texting while driving by offering youth-led workshops at the local high schools.
Seconder?
I second that.
Any discussion? I know this is one that's a lot of us feel pretty strongly about.
Yeah, I've done the Cowichan Community Policing's workshop about texting while driving. It's really good, and it's very simple and would be very easy for youth to learn to be able to run through the high schools. And I think it's very good for the high schools to get this program because they all text and drive. And I mean, they're like, no, I don't. I've been with friends and they're texting and driving, and it's just bad, and they need this.
And I think that it's really especially powerful if this message comes from young people as well. I mean, I think that definitely it's a problem that, I mean, people of all ages, but definitely youth are, you know, whether it's accurate or not, they're definitely perceived as the biggest perpetrators of this. And I know that in BC, this is a really huge thing. In 2014, police wrote more than 50,000 tickets for distracted driving, and that's up from the year before. And the penalties in BC are only a $167 ticket. And I know that right now the Attorney General is pushing a campaign to kind of increase those penalties or see what the public opinion is on increasing those penalties. So they're looking into changing that right now. It's kind of crazy, though, for something that kills more people than drunk driving, and then you look at the two penalties, and they're just so askew.
I did hear that they're looking to definitely increase the penalties regarding it, though, because it is becoming such a pervasive problem. I don't know how you manage to multitask, but obviously you can't. You can't do it. You just kill people.
That's the
Well, and
It's murder.
I had something to add to that.
Multitasking.
Even though, like, even though youth might not be the only people texting and driving, it's a bigger risk when youth text and drive or young drivers text and drive because they don't have as much experience. I mean, it's bad,
I
period,
think
but
it's pretty bad
but-
anyway.
I think
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest reason why there's so
I mean,
much.
maybe in regards to driving, but then
'Cause
someone else might say, well, we're better at it because we're better at texting.
Of course, that's not my argument. I'm
So there's
just
all
pointing that
kinds
out.
of excuses. I think that it's really key that we start that education. I think that something that you definitely, I think, couldn't argue as much as that in our generation, in our age group, there's definitely a little bit more of entitlement when it comes to using your phone. There's definitely a little bit more entitlement about doing what you want. It's my phone, it's my car, stuff like that. And I think that if we kind of start to empower people with the knowledge that you could actually be killing at random when you decide to text at the wheel. So I think that, yeah, going through with this program, taking it into the high schools, I think that would be really good. Yeah. Did anyone have any other comments on that? Perfect. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so item 5.1.11, more lighting in various areas for safety. Did anyone want to move that?
I move that the Duncan Junior Council forward the following resolution to the City of Duncan for more information, and that the topic of more lighting in various areas for safety be referred to Safe Youth Cowichan in order to identify specific areas within the City of Duncan so that those areas can be brought to attention of City Council at the future council meeting.
Seconder?
I second that.
Perfect. Any discussion? So I guess kind of a lot of these areas were identified by Safe Youth Cowichan, but they need to kind of work on identifying those areas specifically so we can figure them out. I know there's lots of things that youth have brought up to us in terms of specific areas, but I think probably some kind of report will be created before this is passed on to council and brought to their attention at a meeting.
Yeah, this was something I had some notes on. Just there's a few areas that I remembered that were identified by people when we did do our dialogues, and certain things that Safe Youth Cowichan had discussed as areas that were definitely dangerous, just in regards to the lighting. I don't know if you want me to bring up any of those. Right
No, we
now,
can
if
totally
it's,
talk about it. Yeah,
relevant.
we'll go back to it later, but.
But certain places, like the area around McAdam Park, a certain area like through Santan, those trails. There's that little bit by Caronsmore, and then some areas around Superstore. So I just.
No, that's awesome. We can definitely bring that up when we start kind of putting these together and listing these ideas and stuff when Safe Youth Cowichan starts putting that together. Perfect. Any other comments on that one?
I feel that we definitely need more lighting in some areas where people walk, especially at night. If someone's walking around and they may have to take a longer route just because of certain lighting, that they may not feel comfortable in some areas.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
I think a concern that came up there was like which jurisdiction the areas fall under, because some of them aren't in
That's
the city of
true.
Duncan.
Didn't even think of that.
Yeah, so I guess what we'll have to do is identify and make sure we find out where these areas are, and then whether it is the city of Duncan that we end up with Safe Youth Cowichan, if they end up referring that to them, or if we want to take that possibly
Communicate
to
with
other
other-
local governments, or, yeah, for sure. Good point.
Yeah.
I think hopefully that most of these places I did just list
I think
were
those
within,
mostly are,
because
yeah.
I tried looking at the map of Duncan at least, but with regards to Safe Youth Cowichan, a lot of areas were identified outside of Duncan for sure.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Perfect. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. All right. Item 5.1.12, youth sporting event. This is, can I have someone move this?
I move that the Duncan Junior Council forward the following resolution to the City Council for information, that the topic of a youth sporting event be referred to Safe Youth Cowichan for further consideration.
Seconder?
I second that.
Perfect. So did you want to discuss this at all? I know we had kind of talked about doing this in conjunction with the Safe Youth Spaces project.
Yeah, this was, I was hoping to put this with the first topic on the agenda. This is supposed to tie in with that, the spaces for youth, and as well as bringing the community together and having sports and just people getting together and being friendly and having fun.
And I think that it is a really good idea to kind of tie those two together. We can have people come out, can help create that space, whether it's, they're involved in the building, if it's just come paint a bench, if it's come help design it, and then we all get together and kind of do something fun, and that'll kind of, I think, foster that sense of ownership.
Yeah.
Definitely. Any other comments?
I feel like it'd be a good idea, but I don't know if the whole thing should be focused around sports. It just makes me think that not everybody plays sports in the town, that there's a lot of different kinds of, I guess you say, cliques of people, where not everyone might want to play a sport, but some people might want to be artsy, or some people might want to do something else. So focusing the whole event on sports might not bring out as many youth as we would hope, because not everyone plays sports. Not everyone's into sports.
For sure. That's why I think it would be important to kind of tie it in with that first thing, because I think there will be other opportunities for activities that come with kind of helping to create that safe gathering space, and we can definitely look at ways to include other people's skills and interests, I think, in that day.
Okay, well,
or days.
Reword it to a fun day of activities.
Yeah, like a fun day where there can be different things happening, where youth could come out and enjoy themselves and do different things, not just a sports day, because I don't know how many people would want to come out to a sports day.
That's sort of what I meant. It's definitely sports, because that's just how I worded
There could be sports, art, different.
Even recreational.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, Emma, because I was just thinking that, and recreation can look like different things too. Whether you identify it as sport, it could still be recreational, like frisbee. Someone might like frisbee, but if you try to get them to play a team sport, they would run away crying.
Yeah,
I
like
guess
some
we
people are
should
like, hey, come
discuss-
play. Sorry.
No, go for it.
Some people are like, hey, come play soccer, and they're like, I don't want to play. Like, I feel like people might be better than me, or some reason they don't want to. Where if you say, hey, come throw a frisbee around with me, people might be more willing to want to do
So
something.
I guess what I'm hearing is making sure that the sports or recreational events are kind of like inclusive things where, so we can
Yes.
kind of maybe refer that and brainstorm on that and what they would look like. And so we make sure that the activities are things that are fun, recreational, sport type
Yeah.
activities, but we can kind of decide which ones and what that's going to look like. So there's not necessarily maybe like a competitive spirit to it, because that might deter some people, but making sure it's, just like you said, lots of fun, getting people out in the community and
Yeah, I was trying to find the right word for it. so.
totally, yeah. Perfect. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, perfect. So item 5.2, we just have our reports. So I guess I will give mine first. I'm just going to give some updates on the things that we've worked on since our last meeting. I wanted to talk about one of the things that we brought up last year that was actually Junior Councillor George's idea was working around the river cleanup, either having our own river cleanup or working with the existing one. So we ended up working with the Cowichan Watershed Board and Cowichan Tribes to host the annual Cowichan River Cleanup, and it was a really good time. It was a great success. Our role involved social media, volunteer recruitment, seeking sponsorships and donations, and hosting registration. We hosted mealtime. We hosted the prize draws on the day of. Volunteers were able to cover a really large area. They pulled a lot of stuff out of the river, although less than the previous year, so that's also a good success. We plan on being involved again this year. As far as I know, we're going to be helping to coordinate in a similar role and maybe reaching out to other groups of youth to help coordinate in different areas. I know there was a group in Lake Cowichan that was interested in getting involved. So hopefully, I know that the river's well-being is definitely on people's minds again this year, so hopefully that'll result in a good turnout. Another concern from last year, we had it identified to us that youth wanted us to focus on street harassment and youth public safety, public violence, and things like that. So we formed a campaign to address street harassment and public violence. This was brought up, again, by many youth as a major issue. So education and awareness was also cited as the first step to combating this problem. So we started a campaign that was carried out both on social media and physically on the streets. A Facebook page was created as a safe space to share information and news and experiences, and we're still getting new likes on the page. I get notifications about it like every day, which is kind of cool. As well, we took a street team out in the downtown area. We had flyers and posters, and most merchants were really happy to put our posters up, and we handed flyers out to everyone we ran into, and so that was really good as well. Another part of the campaign involved an art piece focused on these issues. We wanted to have an art piece. I think the mural was your idea, Alberta, and we've created an idea of a portable mural. This is being created at Francis Kelsey School. They've actually created an entire course around kind of art and social justice, so students can actually earn credits to help create this piece. And then it's going to be displayed at different locations about the community. And I know they were really excited about getting involved in a project on these kinds of social issues. So those are kind of all my updates from last year. I don't know if we can move on if anyone else has anything to report.
I think that's it.
No reports? Okay.
I was appointed to the Environment Committee with the City of Duncan, and so now I'm the youth seat on that, which is pretty exciting. And so that's my report. I don't know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, perfect. I don't think we had any new business that arose. So I guess we move on to the question period. If anyone had any questions. Oh yeah, does that count these guys or? This is you guys.
I had a question that I was told that I could bring up in this period of time about the sprinklers at McAdam Park, because I was there only 2 or 3 days ago to go swimming in the middle of the day. So this would have been after 1 o'clock, and the field, the giant, sports field was being sprinkled. And I know that we've already moved on to stage 2 of water restrictions, and I've heard a lot of nattering, and there has been lots of talk of when we're allowed to water our gardens and whatnot. And I know that the city is then having to to have that discussion with citizens, citizens that want to water their garden and probably complaints as well, like my neighbor's watering, but I'm being responsible, but I want to water, but look, he's washing his car, or someone else is like, I want to water, but this is too early in the morning for me, or whatever. And so I was just wondering about that.
Thanks for your question. Regarding sprinklering in general of the sports fields, excuse me, they're a sand-based field, so we do have to keep watering them, or they'll completely die off. They won't bounce back like a traditional residential. Why they were being watered in the middle of the day, I would have to look into that.
Okay.
So I will look into that, and I'll email the group as to what that answer was. So.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions from you guys for staff? I think we can move on to. I think I have to adjourn before I can answer. Right? I'm down here. It says questions. No, I can. Can we have an informal question period? Yes. Hello.
Thank you. The sprinklers are sprinkling at night at McCabe, because I live right there. They were to keep me awake at midnight. So that might have been. You can follow up if you want.
Okay.
But they are sprinkling
I
at
wasn't
night
swimming. I wasn't swimming at midnight though. At the time, maybe now though, which is awesome. But at the time, I know we had already moved to stage 2 water restrictions, and so it's for it to be like basically 30 degrees heat, and I know the water doesn't make it very much into the ground at that kind of heat in the middle of the day.
Do you know when it was? Like how long ago that you were there?
It was like 3 days ago,
Oh,
like
okay.
2 or 3
Okay.
days
Yeah.
ago, literally.
So then that
Yeah.
should be looked into as to why it was sprinkled in the middle of the day.
Okay, perfect. Anyone else have anything?
One more, if through you to staff, what about if you don't get anywhere getting on other regional committees, through you to staff, can the city appoint you all as alternates?
I don't know.
If you're speaking of city appointments on a committee, that's typically an elected official. So I'm not sure we'd be able to appoint a non-elect, like you wouldn't appoint staff typically to certain committees. So we could check depending on the committee appointment, like the type of committee that it is.
I just see it might get bogged down in works, and that might be a way to get around that.
Definitely. Thanks for the suggestion. Okay, perfect. Anything else? All right, then I'm going to go ahead and say meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And I guess, now we can take questions from the press if you like. Hello.
Hi. I wanted to ask about recruitment. I see about half of you were the same bunch that were here last year, and wondered who you're recruiting from, what base you're asking.
I can speak to that if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
We go into local high schools primarily. I know we went to a number of high schools. We went to Cal High, Francis Kelsey, the alternate schools, Seavolk. We went to
Quamachin.
Island Oak, Quamachin. So we try to reach out to as many schools in the relevant age groups as possible. We think that schools are kind of the best place to find large groups. As well, I think, did we reach out to any other local youth organizations this year? Yeah, we kind of reach out to different youth groups and clubs and organizations too, in the right age group as well.
And I mean, I guess technically I would have been recruited from Safe Youth Cowichan.
And as well with this group here, we actually do have a 2-year term. We did have a little bit of turnover just because of the nature of things and people get busy and stuff for sure. So yeah, we are on a 2-year term. Next year it'll probably be a whole lot of new faces.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the 2-year term thing, so that makes it different. What schools do you guys go to then?
Do you want to start over there?
I'm from Island Oak High School.
Cow High.
I graduated from Cow High a few years ago.
I graduated from Seavolk 2 years ago.
I just graduated.
From?
Cal High.
I also go to Island Oak High School.
Oh, we're pretty mixed this year.
And were you guys all recruited from your high schools or through other groups?
Again, do you want to start over there? We can go this way.
Yeah, I was actually, I think I was recruited through Michelle through the high school, but you came to the high school, so it's
Yeah.
kind of through the high school, I guess.
I got recruited through a friend who didn't even tell me what this was. They just asked me to come to a meeting, and I came, and then they told me what it was, and then I just haven't left since.
I was recruited through community group Safe Youth Cowichan, so just through volunteering.
Yeah, I was just recruited through Safe Youth Cowichan as well, which I've been doing for a few years.
You're just Safe Youth Cowichan too, right, Chels?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, we'll put that on the record then.
I was also recruited through Michelle from Island Oak. Well, not just you, Barb
Through
as
the high
well.
school.
Wrangles people up.
Who are you guys elected? Who determines who goes to on council?
So often what we find is that with the nature of teenage lives and with the nature of people's commitments and things, often we get kind of the number that we need. I mean, this year I guess we're one short because we did have an international student who had to return home. But yeah, both of these times it's worked out where we had the right number of people who wanted to come on board. I know that in the first year we did just an internal election for mayor because there was only 2 people who were interested. And then, but yeah, it's just been really nice where we've just been able to kind of say, all right, here you go. We're very inclusive and we've just happened to have the right numbers. So as of yet, we haven't had to have an election. Maybe next year we'll have a ton of new recruits. That will be really exciting. And then maybe we'll get to conduct an election of some sort.
Then who would vote?
I don't know who would vote.
Do you want to explain the process for mayor?
Well, how did we even do that? I guess with the 2-year
You
term.
guys.
We both got up and we both gave speeches on why we wanted to be involved, what we would bring to the role. We both had to give, I believe, a 2-minute speech, and then we had just a really quick kind of question debate period where the counselors, junior counselors, potentials were able to ask questions, and then we just had an internal election for that position. So I suppose, it would be cool if we were able to organize some kind of external election among young people in the community. We would have to kind of discuss what that would look like, but if the interest was there, that would be really awesome.
That'd be cool.
And have you enjoyed being mayor?
Yes, a lot. It's been a really great opportunity. Everyone always has such cool ideas, and it's really nice to be able to help bring them to fruition.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Dun, dun, dun.